Hello, Mzansi. Welcome back to Game On. Now, we promised you a very special interview in the last segment of the show, and I'll give you a clue. He's the only South African to have won a UEFA Champions League trophy. Still, Bafana Bafana's top goal scorer. Benni's in the 18 area. Yes, of course, we've got South African football royalty in Benni McCarthy. Benni, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Firstly, for many of the youngsters, they'll know you as Benni playing overseas, but can you take us back to the beginning in how your career started out in Cape Town?
Hey, Sizwe, thanks for having me again today, my man.
Sure.
Really good speaking to you. No, like I said, my journey started like every other kid in South Africa, playing on the streets, playing at school, playing in the grassroots football. And I think that's basically just where the love for football came. And in my case, football was a way of life to keep me off the streets from joining the gangs, because when you're from the Cape Flats, that's the easiest route to go into, so football kept me on the straight and narrow. And then my talents just developed, and then playing for my local clubs, Young Pirates, when I was under 10s and 11s. And then I moved on to the Cape District Union, where I joined a club called Crusaders. And I had probably one of the best managers ever that used to be a former gangster, but he took kids because he didn't want kids to go into that route. So he started his own little football team, and then he made us play in the gangster leagues, in the tournaments, and I guess, so from there I just slowly started making up my name. And then when I had the opportunity, then I joined a team called Seven Stars. And then from Seven Stars onwards, I went to represent South Africa at the under 20 national team levels. And we lost in the African Nations Cup under 20 finals, but I was voted best player of the tournament and top goal scorer. And I think all the European clubs then came calling, because those are the tournaments that these big teams go and find unrecognizable talents, and I guess I was one of that. And then my journey then took me to Amsterdam, Holland, where I joined Ajax Amsterdam, and the rest is history.
History, like you say, and I do remember, mid-90s or so, and we saw you briefly, like you say, Seven Stars, where you started to make a name for yourself here in South Africa, then Cape Town Spurs before you left. Briefly, we saw you for a short space of time. You're still a teenager. What's the difference between your generation back then in the type of players that we're exporting abroad to the generation now that doesn't quite go abroad as often as your guys did? What's the difference?
I think the biggest difference, Sizwe, has to be the social media platforms now, because I think football players are brands now. They have their own brands, they have their own company. So for them, it's about the image that matters, and so what gives you the platform almost take a backseat to having to have a good Instagram profile, having to have a good Twitter profile and all that, but you forget what gives you that platform, which is the main attraction, and that's the football. And when we started coming up, there was no such thing as Twitter and Instagram and that. So we just had to put our heads down, and if you want to make it on the training pitch and in matches, that's where you put the hard graft in, and that's where you knuckle down, and then you see if you've got what it takes to make it, and that's the biggest difference now. And I think football players just have to realize, the most important thing in life is not your image. It's not people remembers you for what you did when you were at your job, and that was being a footballer. So you have to try and be the best footballer that you can possibly be, and everything else will come naturally by itself, instead of making sure that you look smooth and it's all straightened and it's all white, and like the image, putting the image up there, but then your job, which is being a football player, is the one that suffers the most. And that was the difference between the two generations.
Now, the beauty of life is you come back after your playing days now and you start to coach, make a bit of history with AmaZulu, and carry on to go work out at Manchester United as well. Talk to us about life after Benni the player, Benni the coach, and how that experience has been.
The transition has been a little bit difficult because now you kind of have to almost like you have to start to learn to ride a bike all over again. You know the game inside out, but being a coach, you learn different things. You learn now how to manage individual players, how to deal with players, and you can't just be a stubborn, hot-headed when you are an individual as a player. So you gotta have different means and ways to go about it. So I had to do that. So I had to sacrifice 5 years of my life to go through the coaching process. When I got the opportunity to coach at Cape Town City, which was amazing, but it was still a very big eye-opener because it was my first job as a coach, and I think I did fairly well as a novice coach. But then when I got to join AmaZulu, I wasn't a rookie anymore. I was someone that, okay, now I know, at least I don't want to make the same mistakes I did at Cape Town City, what I didn't know there. I've learned a little bit, so I've taken it to AmaZulu. And yes, and I've taken it to new heights. And that was incredible to achieve what I've achieved at a team that's not known to be in the top 10, let alone finish second in the league, and then qualifying for CAF Champions League was incredible experience. So yeah, I'll take those experiences with me for a long time, but then that kind of set me up really good for when the chance came to go and coach at Man United. So it was just how to see how different things were, like at AmaZulu, I fought to get in an analyst,
Yeah.
So eventually the president gave in and I got the analyst. So you didn't have to do all the analysis and everything by yourself. So you had a little bit of help with an analyst, which was fantastic. And then I walked into Man United, the office. I was like, wow, unbelievable office. I says, no. We on that, we on there, we not here. I was like, what do you mean? No, these are the analysts. And I was like, what? So the analyst had an office that probably most team managers won't have in South Africa. And there was like 12 dudes sitting in with the latest technologies, computers, drones, and everything. And I was like, oh, this is the analyst guys. And so then went into the office. The coach's office was incredible. The manager's office was just next level stuff. So I was like, oh, wow. So this is what coaching is. This is when you were a manager, a head coach in Europe, this is what the life is like. I was like, now I'm inspired to really want to become a coach because I can get used to this.
Thank you for your time here on GameON. Also, you've been a great example as a football player, as a young football player, as a professional, as an international, also as a coach. So thank you as well for your contribution to the South African game, to the international game, and continue being Benni McCarthy. We love your accent. We love the fact that it's still South African. And see you soon. Thanks so much for your time, mate. Enjoyable chat indeed with the legend. That is Benni McCarthy, who continues, of course, to set the bar high in as far as the South African footballing fraternity. Thank you so much to Benni. Thanks to Shane as well as Jerry as well. Not forgetting you at home for taking the time to join us here on GameON. From me, Susan Mampena, and the rest of the team that is behind the scenes. Click, click, bang.